We're at TVLine's Comic-Con suite with the star and producers of Krypton. Welcome.
Thank
you very much. Thanks for having us.
This is about Superman's grandfather. What appealed to you about going back 2 generations for this story?
I mean, I think the inspiration for it is there's so much about the origin of Superman and the mythology of Superman that we actually don't know and haven't mined. And, you know, there's such a huge appetite for everything to do with Superman, the House of El, where he came from, what, you know, world and culture fostered the greatest hero who ever lived, that I think it was just too rich a field to not plow.
Everything that Damien said, and I would add to that I think there's not I mean, there is some existing canon obviously for Krypton, but most of that centers around Jor-El, and to sort of be able to like take it another generation removed from that, it opens it up for us, and it allows us to kind of have endless sort of possibilities for what we can do, which is great. We can kind of have our own, you know, our own sort of field to play in, but we can also deepen the existing mythology.
How much free reign do you have? Like
Absolutely none. We are indentured typists.
Quite a bit,
yeah.
I would say, yeah. I mean, look, we there's a process, and we can, you know, we talk about stuff and come up with ideas, and then it gets, pass it on to the studio and to the network and to obviously our partners at DC as well, and everybody has, you know, a point of view, but it's a great partnership, and everybody is really, you know, supportive of the vision for the show, and it's been great.
There hasn't been a mandate like you have to do what's in the comics. You know, DC's very clever at keeping worlds divided and then combining them when it makes sense. So we, you know, I've pitched things, you've pitched things, you know, where that we expect them to go, we do that differently in the comics. They went, no, great, because I think anything that allows the canon and the mythology and that character and that story to evolve is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you can deepen that mythology without just like slamming up against it for no particular reason, and I think that's our approach. We don't want to we're not looking to change what people, you know, we want to challenge people's expectations, but we don't want to just like make a completely different show that doesn't feel like, you know, it should for fans of the mythology.
It's funny because there's a little bit of a disconnect. It's the show about Superman's grandfather, and then you see the star who's anything but grandfatherly.
I'm 67. I'm moisturized.
Wow. Oil of Olay. Nice.
Yeah. Nipped and tucked Hollywood. So. Yeah.
What are Seg-El's strengths and weaknesses?
He's a really awesome character. For me, when I was sort of building it, I looked a lot at the comics and Superman, and he had a way harsher upbringing than Kal-El had. Kal-El had the benefit of growing up as Clark Kent on the Kent farm with this beautiful open family that taught him that these gifts are here for a reason, that he has a responsibility to share them with the world. Seg grows up in a very stringent, strict society that has a rigorous class system. He, very early on in the story, that family, the House of El, the great House of Krypton, is thrown from the top of Kryptonian society to the very, very bottom and left to die in a place called the Rankless District. He is very resourceful, is very intelligent, has an intuitive brilliance when it comes to all things technology, but he's rasher and he's angrier and just a bit harsher than Kal-El would have been.
I think exactly, and I think that the great thing about it is he's a person who's inheriting and protecting an incredible legacy, but he doesn't have a cape or superpowers. It's still a red sun. He doesn't have all those godlike powers that Superman has, but he has to embrace having almost that much responsibility. And I think, you know, taking the origin of the House of El and making it human and flawed and struggling, yet imbued with that sense of brilliance and aspirational hope and ingenuity that is Superman, I think is a really, you know, almost a beautiful way to look at it in terms of strengths are weaknesses and weaknesses are strengths. It's not so clear-cut.
There's quite a journey for the character to take, and I think what we're excited about is placing along the way, in this journey, a number of kind of moral dilemmas where, you know, if he makes this choice, his grandson might grow up to be the Punisher, you know, but if he makes this choice, his grandson will grow up to be Superman. So those kinds of things are kind of fun to play with.
No pressure.
Yeah. So in the absence of traditional like superpowers, you know, where did like the wow moments come from on a show like this?
We can't tell you, but they're out there. And in fact, that's a kind of a bit of that's the stressful part of doing, press and media for a show that we know we're doing so many incredible things inside of, but we don't want to spoil it. And it is a big extension of the DC universe, and we are playing on a way to challenge what people think they know about Krypton, bring in characters you would not expect but you recognize, and to play those big DC moments as much as we can, as early as we can, and often. It's a big part of the show's identity.
Yeah, you're going to see, surprisingly, I think, for a lot of the audience, a number of DC characters that you just wouldn't expect, and I think people will be, genuinely surprised and pretty jazzed about, some of the characters that we have lined up. I wish we could tell you who they are, but we can't.
It's Lois Lane, isn't it? Yeah. Lois Lane's going to pop in.
But I think one of the other, I'm just ignoring that, one of the other biggest kind of like wow moments is really the way we sort of frame the pilot and the series and how we kind of set it up, which is to say that it's not so much a show, it's not so much a prequel in the traditional sense that it's about these events that took place in the past where we have a sense where we kind of know how it's ending. We're doing something with the show that challenges all of that, so we kind of combine. Essentially there's an attack that comes from our present day, which is the future for Krypton, that has sort of travelled back in time to try and ensure that Superman is never born. So the stakes of the show are really about the here and now. It's a really, I don't know if I've seen anything quite like it, where it's sort of like it's a nice kind of blend of a prequel, I guess, but it's still, the stakes are set in the present day, if you know what I mean.
What starts as a prequel becomes something that is about rewriting history and challenges the fans to join us on a journey of what may actually happen, what could happen, what we don't want to happen. And I think that's a really important piece of Krypton, is that it's not really relevant to just go look at the past unless it has an absolutely diamond hard impact on the present, and that is the kind of the framework we're working within for Krypton.
Also worth saying, within this world we have a great opportunity to tell a sci-fi epic.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
it's world building. This is the kind of show that's such a wonderful thing to embrace, because everything in it is either a vis effects, a build, it's not like we can just shoot on a street or a mountain. It has to look like a different planet, and we have to world build down to the kind of the molecule, as it were. So it's a big swing. It's a big world, and every aspect of it is going to be something I think the fans will enjoy.
Sounds expensive.
Again, we can't tell you. That's another spoiler. We also reveal the budget in episode 3, which is a big shocker.
Game changer.
Yeah.
Seg pays the bills. Yeah, the same episode.
I mean, it has an incredibly cinematic look about it, and for all the reasons that that Damien's just kind of explained, it's a world that you can't find on Earth. So it's something that's been created by some of the very best production designers and visual
CG
effects teams. So I think we're very proud of the look of the show. I think it's going to blow people's minds.
We spent $9 million on Cam's hair just for
absolutely. And they're paying me $5 a day.
Yeah, so his hair has a different agent. It's really rough. It's rough.
Well spent. It's nice hair.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.